Yo yo, it's Jojo, and today I was thinking about doing a little short guide here about how to play Sage in dungeons. So as we all know, Sage, the new class here, focuses a lot on healing while dealing damage. To be honest, all healers need to be doing this in dungeons and in raids especially, but this one with the cardia mechanic has some healing built into the damage dealing. So that is something that we're going to think about a little bit here while we go through the spells. So things you need to look out for and think about before the pull, or pre-pull as we call it. You want to put the cardia onto your tank, and you want to prepare a Eucrasia diagnosis, the single target shield, onto your tank. What you can also do before the pull is to prepare a Eucrasian dosis, so that you can put a dot on the first target that comes into your line of sight. Then as soon as you have pulled, you can see the first enemy, you put up Eucrasian doses onto all of the targets that you can see, and as soon as you see the Eucrasian diagnosis disappear from your tank, you're gonna get one stack of Toxicon, and you keep on repeating that cycle until you have pulled all of the mobs and you want to start doing the AoE damage. Hopefully by the end of the pulling and running towards the end of the dungeon, or the as far as you can go, you will have 3 Toxicon stacks and you will have Eucrasian doses damage over time effects on all of the mobs. So for AoE damage, you're going from a priority system. So you're gonna start off with Phlegma 3. That is your highest potential and damage ability. So you want to use those stacks up first to get it on cooldown, get the cooldown rolling ASAP. And then the next priority is Toxicon 2. And last but not least, you have Disgracia 2. So these are your 3 damaging abilities that you will use endlessly until the pack is dead. So how do you heal if every single GCD is going to damaging abilities? Well, of course, you're going to use the off GCDs and your cardia mechanic to heal the tank. So in between the AoE GCDs, I usually like to start with popping one of these Kerachole. That puts a damage reduction effect onto the tank, as well as a regen effect onto the tank. And you have the time between each GCD, you have the time to use 2 off GCDs. It's called double weaving. So usually after the first AoE, after the first Phlegma 3 that I do, I use Kerachole together with, it depends a little bit, but Kerachole together with Haima together with Soteria. That's usually enough. So you've got the damage reduction, you've got the regen effect from Kerachole, you've got the barrier, as well as the stacks of Haimatinon that roll onto the tanks, or onto the tank, as well as the increased Cardion effect. These 3 effects usually are enough to keep your tank alive through the pack, depending on how big it is. There are some dangerous packs where you might need to use some more. If they survive long enough that this Kerachole effect ends, you can use Taruchole, another 10% damage reduction, and also a big heal, 700 potency. If there is an especially difficult pack, then you can also stack Kerachole together with Holos for a 20% damage reduction. The Kerachole and Taruchole do not stack, so you're gonna need to use one of these together with Holos, so you get the 20% damage reduction. Together with one of the shields from either Haima or Panhaima. I usually do not stack these. So for one pack I use Haima, for the next pack I'm gonna use Panhaima. And then if it's extra difficult, of course you can pop Krasis for the 20% healing, as well as Rizomata in case of emergency if you're gonna need an extra Adder's Gall. And if that is not enough, you can also weave in a few Physis 2 here and there. This one I don't really think about too much because it's on a fairly short cooldown. You're gonna have it up for almost every single pack. Same thing with Pepsis. If you need some extra healing, maybe some people got hit by AoEs, you can go for a Eucrasian Prognosis together with Pepsis, and you're gonna heal up your entire party pretty much to full, especially if you have a Phys 2 rolling. Or You can also use the Eucrasian diagnosis on the tank together with a Pepsis to get a fat heal onto the tank if there's an emergency. Especially if you pop Krasis together with it, then you're gonna have a huge heal. Phlegma 3, Toxicon 2, Discretia 2, that's the priority for DPS. And in between every GCD, you pop these things. So your healing is going to look something like this. That's a lot of effects. But in between each GCD, as you can see here, I could pop all of my cooldowns here with no effort at all. With no difficulty at all. And your choles are your spammable heals. So usually you're going to use like 2 or 3, maybe 4 of these abilities that are on the longer cooldowns. And then use the spammable Taru Chole, X Chole, or Dru Chole, or the healing, the raw healing. And then you use for the next pack the other 3, whichever cooldowns that you haven't used before. Oh, and I almost completely forgot to talk about single target. So single target isn't much more difficult. You just completely ignore some of the other abilities here and spam doses 3. Of course, Phlegma 3 still has the 510 potency, so you're going to use this pretty much on cooldown. Unless you have teammates that can give you damage buffs, then you might want to save these charges for when the damage buffs are online. And just spam doses 3 until your fingers bleed. There's not much else that you need to do, especially since like getting the Toxicon 2 charges actually require you to use a GCD on putting a shield onto the tank. So you can do this pre-pull, so that if there's some kind of AoE that hits everyone, you're gonna have 3 Toxicon stacks immediately, which is cool. But since Toxicon is at 330 potency, and Doses 3 is also 330 potency, you gain 0 damage from doing this. What you can do though is, since Toxicon 2 is instant, you can save it for heavy movement-based phases. So if you know that you're gonna need to run a lot in a couple of seconds because of some mechanic that you need to complete, then save the Toxicons for that, so you can get the same DPS while running. That is the only reason that I can see Toxicon ever being used over doses. Otherwise, just keep spamming doses. And since it's a 1.45 second cast, you always have time to single weave 1 spell between each cast. It is the same thing with diagnosis and diagnosis here. So you see, the spell has been cast while the GCD is still rolling, so you have time here to immediately use Duruchole and still hit the heal. So this is what you want to do during the prognosis. As soon as the cast is done, you can use an off GCD, just like this. I'm doing it with diagnosis here since I have no target, but you can do the exact same thing on the boss. So while spamming the doses 3 and having that 100% uptime on the 330 damage potency, you single weave in healing abilities or healing off GCDs. And that is usually enough to heal through anything that a dungeon can throw at you, as long as you cycle through your cooldowns effectively. Of course, sometimes people get hit by mechanics or just take a lot of damage for some reason. Then you might need to do 1 or 2 diagnosis and prognosis heals, or maybe a Eucrasian together with Pepsis to heal them up. But that's it. GG's. That's all you need to know. Thanks for watching the video, and good luck dungeoning with Sage.